I've been feeling so.
Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Ishra or Fish. When I'm doing these backgrounds, it means I have decided it's another episode of IshRants. Now, the last time I did an IshRants episode was a year ago, maybe like 6 months ago. So not exactly a year ago, but it was last year. It's 2024 now, January of 2024, which is insane. Every time I post an IshRants, it's a new year. But I am already editing another vlog from my trip to Italy. In case you didn't know, I went to Italy last year for a little exchange. If you haven't seen my first video, go check it out. Actually, before I post this IshRants, there should be like 2 Italian vlogs, so check that out if you want, maybe after this. But yeah, from that trip I learned so much. But no, really, I think going on exchange is an experience that everybody should have in their lifetime. I did not only like experience some form of change, I felt like I completely shed my old skin, like the old versions of myself that I've been holding on since childhood, and grew into my new, I guess, shell or skin. One thing about me is I am, and I know this is like hard for like if my friends are watching this to believe, but I'm a little bit of a soft-spoken person at times. I explained this really poorly because I was really nervous for some reason. Oh my gosh, oh my god, why is the light? How do I? Okay. So I explained this really poorly, but what I was trying to say was, you know, having to solo travel a lot and being faced with my own thoughts, I realized that all this while I've been putting on this character, telling myself that I'm this sweet person, and therefore people who mistreat me, like, why do they keep mistreating me, and putting all of that responsibility on those people who are mistreating me, and trying to paint them as the bad guy and hating people, but then the cycle kept happening over and over again. Like, I kept attracting the same kind of partners, the same kind of friends into my life. And I was faced with the fact that I have serious attachment issues. Like, generally when I'm alone, I'm quite secure. But when I get myself involved in a relationship, when I get myself involved in a friendship, I can tend to be like very anxiously attached. I also have this people-pleasing complex, and unknowingly to me, for most of my life, is a form of manipulation. I thought it was really important to kind of bring awareness to that, because a lot of like the TikToks and the reels that I watch are constantly coddling us people with anxious attachment. I realized I needed to give myself a reality check. I had a little bit of a harsh awakening, and I had to like kind of put myself in check. And so this is what this video is for, and this is what this video is about. So if you're a girly or a guy, sorry, who is anxiously attached, who's a people pleaser, and I'm sure it comes with good intentions. You're so sweet, you're so empathetic, but it gets in the way of living your life to the fullest, because you're not standing up for yourself, you're not advocating for yourself, and then you're putting that expectation on other people, and when they don't meet that expectation, because like, let's be real here, the only person who can meet your expectations sometimes is you. It's time to wake up, time to put those resources into yourself. And I go into a lot more depth later in this video. Getting rid of all these people-pleasing tendencies of mine was essential to becoming an adult, to growing into the person that I needed to be, so that I can make things happen. So again, like I said, this is gonna be a brutal awakening. This is like an IshRants. Like, I'm gonna be so real with y'all, with love, of course. If you want to do a 180, you have these issues, you're struggling, you're asking yourself, why does this happen to me? Why do people do these things to me? Why can't I reach my success? Let me tell you how you can do better for yourself and think better for yourself, because when you think better for yourself, you're able to do better for yourself. The one thing that I want to address, if you're a people pleaser, if you're this anxious attached girly like I am trying to work out of, I can't say I'm fully gotten rid of it, chances are you have a very strong victim mentality. And you may not want to admit that. I honestly didn't. Nobody wants to admit that they have a victim mentality. Why? Because in a way, people who have a very strong set of victim mentality are manipulated. But I encourage you to look at it as, we all have a tendency to want to be the victim, because when you are the victim, there's that shift of responsibility where it is on someone else. Someone made you the victim, and therefore I'm like this, and therefore I can't do this. And I'm, again, like, take everything that I say with a grain of salt. I'm directing this advice to a very specific group of people, right? You can most certainly be a victim to your circumstance in the moment, but I'm specifically targeting those of you who are like me. I have a roof over my head, I have an education, I have privacy to be able to think my own thoughts, to scheme my own things, I have internet to like watch this video, you have, you know, free time. Like I said, you have all of these things, you have all of these privileges, but somehow you still want to fall back on like, this person did this to me and that's caused me to not be able to move forward in life, and therefore I can't get to the place where I want to be. Here's the harsh reality. If you have all these things that I listed, you have a chance to move forward in life. You have a chance to get over things. There are resources out there that you actually can reach to get yourself over this hurdle. And I commend you for coming this far. I commend you for going through all of this and struggling through all of this, because, you know, there are many people who have struggled and have honestly not made it. So yeah, that's great. But now what? You know, I think as chronic people pleasers, we have a tendency to feel like we can't do certain things because of the other people in our life. I was very guilty of this. I always felt like, oh, when I was dating, it was, oh, can't get this done because this would upset them, or I don't know how they would feel about this. And if it wasn't when I was in a relationship, I was like, oh, I need to get this done for this friend, and then focus on that, and then be upset when that wasn't reciprocated, and then be like, wow, I'm such a good person, I'm doing all these things for people, they're first of all not doing it back, but second of all, it's taking away from all of what I want to do, and they're not even grateful. Stop doing that. Why are you letting all these people be the main character in your books? This is your book, this is your story, this is your life, and you only get to live one, as far as I know. Maybe there are other afterlives, I don't know. But as far as we humanly know, okay? Say there's only one life that we ever get to live in this galaxy. You die, that's it. And you're focusing it constantly on another person's feelings, constantly seeking other people's validation for what? You look like a clown. Because at the end of the day, no matter how much people love you, you're making a fool out of yourself doing all these conditional things, expecting people to give back, when you could be doing those things for yourself. Like, you're gifted with all of this empathy, you're gifted with all of this intellect and this consideration and this kindness, and you're not giving an ounce of it to yourself, and you expect yourself to maybe get that job that you want, that life that you want, when you're putting all those resources into someone else's hands. Be so fucking for real. I feel like on social media, everybody's saying like, oh, be the main character. And yeah, that's true to a degree. But I do feel like be the main character is also a phrase that is misinterpreted clearly, because a lot of y'all aren't getting it. I didn't get it. But being the main character doesn't mean like, oh, be this narcissistic person and think that you're like the best, you're better than anyone else, nobody else deserves you. It's not that. Being the main character is centralizing your narrative towards yourself.
Also interjecting here, I don't think main characters are constantly thinking about how they can be a main character anyway. Like, I don't think main characters are busy thinking like, if I did this, will this make me like the center of the plot? No. So quit that shit.
You're so busy asking like, oh, if I did this, how would this person feel? Would they love it? If I did this, what about you? How about center that story to you? Like, if I do this, will this bring me closer to where I want to be? If I do this, will I be happy? Will it make me feel content? Make your happiness your responsibility. Don't do things for people and expect them to make you happy, because your happiness is your responsibility. Someone can literally buy you all the diamonds in the world, can give you everything and do everything right, and it's still your responsibility to be happy. It's still your choice to be happy. And people shy away from that truth because it's so much easier to be like, I did all this for you, but how dare you treat me like this? And that's one of the main blockages to your success, babes. Wake up, wake the fuck up. You're the problem and you need to know it. Of course, trauma is another thing, right? Trauma is something that for sure is a blockage to our success. Holding on to trauma can be in many different ways, and I think people pleasing is perhaps one of those responses towards trauma. At the end of the day, it's up to you to be aware of that issue, of that blockage, and to let go. Because people pleasing is not the way. Honestly, I think you've heard this, but constantly analyzing people and wondering if you can do better by them or for them, and doing it because you think you're going to get a reward, is only going to build resentment. And subconsciously, like I've already mentioned at the very beginning of this video, it's a form of manipulation. It's not intentional perhaps, but it's still subconscious and it's still a form of manipulation. And you need to be aware of that, and you need to change your ways, because that's just one major way you're just going to be unhappy and stuck and not able to reach the success that you so deserve. So the next time you sit there, you're busy asking yourself, why me? Why does this happen to me? Ask yourself, how can I make what happened to me work in my favor? Okay, we've established that. And I think the main question a lot of my friends ask me is like, yeah, I really want to get this done. I want to start this business. I want to film this cover. But if I do this, do you think people would think this of me? If I post something like this, will someone find me like narcissistic? Yada, 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 yada. Bestie, do you think that everyone in the world, everyone who knows you, everyone who perceives you, or who will be perceiving you, has the time to remember every single detail of what you do? For the most part, I think most people don't. We're all so busy fighting our own demons. Like, we're all so busy with our own work life, with our own study life, with our own struggles and issues. Nobody gives a like, I'm sorry, you're not special. You can be literally anyone. Like, even like Beyonce, maybe. Yeah, there are people thinking about her, and maybe if she fell on the stage, people would be thinking about it and laughing, right? But for like 90% of the rest of the day, people are worried thinking about like, oh, what do I need to eat? I need to feed my family. How do I pass this exam? You're worried about that. Like the 10%, or maybe even the 1% that somebody might be thinking about you or thinking you're embarrassing. You're really so worried about that. Grow up. Stop overthinking everything. Just get things done if it's so important to you. Or maybe it isn't, and that's why you're doing all these like loopholes, because like it isn't really that important, is it? Maybe it isn't important to you. Maybe you just want to tell people that you want to get these things done, that you have these aspirations, but it's not actually important to you. And maybe that's another reality check that you need. I don't know. But we're so afraid of offending people, but we don't get anything done. Please remember that at the end of the day, this might be a really hard reality to come to terms with, but you don't need to explain your side of the story to anyone. I had a really big fallout with a friend last year, and what I perceived out of this dispute that we had was very different from what this person perceived. And even after like thoroughly explaining to this person what I saw happen, they were never going to see it from my side. And you know what I did? I didn't bombard them with calls or messages and try to explain them my side. I didn't insist that they see it from my end. I moved on.
One thing I left out here was that before, I used to like feel like the need to fully apologize to like friends who I had falling outs with, who fully disrespected me, by the way. I felt like I needed to apologize and be like, no, like I get where you're coming from, but like, can I please tell you this is my side? I mean, well, like, why bother? Why bother with people who would disrespect you in the first place? And I finally made that decision to be like, you know what? This person isn't going to see it. When I realized then, this person's not going to see it from my end. This person just wants to get at me. I moved on and did not feel the need to respond for the first time, did not feel the need to have to explain myself and over-explain myself, and that would still be used against me anyways. That was like the best decision I'd ever made, and I think a lot of people can benefit from having that mindset too.
And that's what I'm getting at, is that it's okay to be misunderstood. Not everyone needs to know your side of the story. It's okay to be the villain in someone's story, and you need to accept that, because every person in this world, like every person on this earth, is somebody else's enemy, is somebody else's villain in their story, did someone wrong. Again, it's about like bringing back that whole storybook, how first of all you let other people be like the main character in your story. Now you want to make sure that you're the goody two shoes in this storybook, in everybody's storybook. That's impossible, and that's unrealistic. Not even Taylor Swift, not even Beyonce is on everybody's good side. There's somebody out there who's demonizing them. So if these people, who are superhuman, by the way, who have an incredible team behind them, an incredible PR team, they themselves can't get everyone to believe that they're good people 24/7, all the time, in everybody's storybook, what makes you think you can? And what makes you think you want that? Say you do manage to be the good person in everybody's books. And then what? That's the main question I think I'm going to be asking this video. Like, and then what? Right? Is that going to bring you closer to your success? Maybe partially. If you please everyone, then everybody's gonna be like, oh, I remember this good person. I'll bring them into like do this opportunity. Or maybe they won't. You spend so much time like pleasing other people. Not everybody wants to give back. Not everybody has to give back, quite frankly. That's the reality. You're so afraid to advocate for yourself because you don't want to step over somebody's shoes. And yet there are people out there, like celebrities like Ariana Grande, who slept with her co-worker or co-star, who's married, had a child, and she met the mother of that child. Like, she was married herself, that Ariana Grande, and then she is now fully dating this man. There are people like that. I'm not saying become like them, but you're so worried about advocating for yourself because you don't want to step on other people's shoes. You don't want to offend somebody. When there are people who are terrible out there. When it's advocating for yourself, why has it become unfair? Why have we ingrained in ourselves? Why have we conditioned ourselves to think that whatever we want is unfair to everyone else? Or maybe there is some truth to that. Going after what you want isn't fair for everyone. Like if somebody gets a role in a main show, someone else doesn't get a role in that show. But that's just life. You deserve the opportunity that you want. You deserve to feel good about yourself. You deserve to advocate for yourself. So don't sell yourself short. Like, let me put this in perspective for you, right? You want people who don't value you. And these are scummy people, by the way. People don't value your time, don't value your emotions, don't value how you feel. They're scummy people. So say you have this ex-best friend of yours. You really want to appease to them. You want to be on their good side. What does it say about you if somebody who doesn't value you, therefore is not a good person, likes you? What does it tell you when your fan base or your friend group are a bunch of people who don't respect boundaries? You want people like that in your life? You want friends like that in your life? Deep that. Seriously, deep that. Listen to that. Think about it. Go walk around your house or something. Go walk around your table and then come back and then give me an answer. What benefit does that serve you? I think most of the time we're so caught up in like we want to people please that we don't realize what that means for us, the kind of repercussion that is. Because if you're gonna please someone who is going to sell you short, break your boundaries, you're ending up with a person or a friend who breaks your boundaries. Another piece of advice which I think is rather shit is like, show your haters your success. Succeed so that your haters can see it. And it's like, that's still asking for validation from your haters. I had terrible bullies growing up, which is like so insane for me to think about. But these are like this was physical bullying, emotional bullying, like horrid. I remember having this motivation like, one day I'm gonna be an adult and I'm gonna do better than all of them, and they're gonna see I'm gonna be this mega pop star and the world's never gonna see the end of it. And like now I'm an adult, and whoever bullied me in the past does not matter to me because I don't need their validation anymore. And I may have been fueled on that, but that kind of motivation ultimately destroyed me, because for the first few years after I came out of that bullying situation and I was trying to be like the best gymnast I could so that they could see, I ended up putting myself in a sport that I didn't like because I wanted the validation of the people who don't deserve even me thinking about them.
Wait, no, I do want to say though, I think a major part of why my bullies don't really matter to me anymore and whatever they've said in the past don't affect me anymore is because I've actually done a lot of the inner work to realize that a lot of what they said is not only what they've been taught because they were kids when they were bullying me, but so much to do with their own insecurities and all the problems that they have within themselves, and to separate that from myself. I talk a lot about this in my previous IshRants or Ish Reflection, if you want to go check that out. But yes, I need to say that like having the mindset that I'm about to tell you really can only work when you've put the effort into really disassociating yourself from this equation when people are trying to bring you down. It's nothing to do with you. It's very much to do with their own insecurity.
The people pleasing bleeds into so much more that I think people don't realize, and the one way that you don't realize that it's bleeding into your life still is if you're trying to appease to the people who like are shitty to you, who are haters, like your ex or your ex-best friend or like your random auntie who like constantly fat shames you. You're trying to like do all of this for what? For their validation? Why do you need them to approve of you? You're still giving that power in their hand. And that's why it comes back to that center narrative towards yourself. Are you making yourself proud? Success is going to look different moving forward. And you're going to be able to achieve that happiness moving forward. And that's what you want. You don't want to be like achieving something so that other people can tell you that, wow, you're so successful. Wow, I look up to you. Especially people who did you wrong. Reframe that mindset because you don't need them. Let that go. You don't need your ex to see that you're so sexy now. In fact, posting photos so that your ex will see, posting videos so that your ex will see that you're clubbing all of a sudden after a breakup, that's not showing them that you're doing any better. Do it because you love it. Don't do it for them. And when you can center that energy towards yourself, center that focus towards yourself, you're going to be so powerful in a way that you don't even know. You need to learn to be indifferent to what anyone has to say about you, anyone has to think about you, whether they hurt you or whether they loved you. You gotta learn to just, doesn't matter. Now that's moving on. I learned that moving on is not blocking a bunch of people. Well, it might be needed in some scenarios, but I mean, like, it's not looking at them and still watching them and seeing how bad they're doing in life, because you're still getting validation from that person. Moving on from people is letting go, and it's not watching them, their growth, and hoping that they do worse than you, And it's also not doing better so that they can see. It's just centering your life around what you want and doing what needs to get done, not because you need to show people off. And that's very different from being numb to everything. I want to be very clear again. I think a lot of people also make the mistake of doing drugs, escaping their problems, escaping their feelings. Feel those feelings. You sit in that discomfort of knowing that someone did you wrong, because pain ultimately is just a very human feature, I would say, that allows us to survive. You need pain to survive, because without the pain, you're not going to know that something bad just happened to you. But let that person go. Don't try to numb it, because you need to remember how it feels so that you don't repeat the mistake again. It's telling you, like, you know, if you hand on a stove, it's hot. That's what pain is, right? Hot, 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 hot. If you numb yourself, you're going to keep your hand on the stove, and when you look back, it's like, I don't have a hand anymore. It's all burnt off. Be in touch with your emotions. Center. Again, centering yourself towards your emotions, towards your experiences. Don't allow validation to be your source of happiness. I know that's hard. For me, I realized that, like, with relationships, I tend to rely on that source of dopamine for my happiness, and I think that's probably what causes the anxious attachment, because I'm just constantly relying on this person to make me happy. And when they say something that's so offensive to me, I get so beyond disappointed, because I'm like, this is like, now I can't be happy ever again. But that needs to change, because if you don't change that, that's gonna repeat in every single one of your relationships, every single one of your friendships. Anytime you have to interact with people, it's gonna be that way. That should be a motivation to change. I know you don't want to hear that. You want to be able to hear, like, yes, these people are a piece of shit, they're avoidant, and you're worth so much more. There's enough people in the internet telling you that. I'm offering you a different perspective. You're unhappy, and also you have this anxious attachment, you have these people-pleasing tendencies, and you're unhappy because of you. Yeah, people can do you wrong, but you choose to keep yourself in the situation, take the responsibility, and make happiness for you. If you clicked on this video, I assume that you're probably a very empathetic person. You're probably a very kind person, and that's a gift. Not everyone is kind, unconditional, and empathetic, but also not everyone deserves that, because a lot of people don't get that growing up. And when they do get a hold of it, they either, one, hog it to themselves and make you feel, and try to make you smaller so that you keep on becoming that resource for them, or they just think you're weak. And you need to be aware of those people in the world. The world is not kind just because you choose to be kind. I think that's like something that is so ingrained to me. I'm like, well, I'm kind to this person, so why can't they just be kind back? Maybe if I'm more kind, they will be kind to me back. That's not how the world works. That sucks. But you need to realize that you were given this gift for a reason. So nourish other people who are like-minded to you. Nourish other people who love you, who care for you, who will support you, who are unconditional just like you. Stop wasting it on people who don't know how to appreciate it, who look down on you, and who like, you're so weak, let me take advantage of this. I know it's so tempting to look at people who have maybe less empathy than you, who are less kind than you, and who look like at the beginning really appreciate your love and keep telling you like, oh, you're so amazing, you're da-da-da-da, but then they treat you like shit. And you're like, oh, it's because I know, because I've been there, right? But you want to pour more into their glass because you have more, and you're like, oh, because I have more, I should be the one giving. But the problem with that frame of thinking is that not everyone who has less and takes from you will really look at it and acknowledge it and be like, wow, you're a great person, I'm gonna give back. Or at the very least, they will respect you. Not everyone is like that. Also, not everyone is as resourceful as you and can look at the love that you give and be like, oh, maybe I should learn from this, or I want to learn how to be able to do this for other people. Like, you might be thinking you're doing good by like, okay, well, I have more, I should give where I can. Normally you don't stop at where you can. Some of you, you're like keep giving until you literally have nothing to give, me included. I'm but not everyone's gonna take it and learn from it. So why even bother giving it out in the first place? To the wrong people. Evaluate the people you're trying to give to. Hello, use your brain. A very natural tendency for a lot of human is to be so greedy. They'll be greedy. They like see that you're giving. They see that you have a lot. Just like how some people see that other people are more rich, right? They go to the person's house, oh, beautiful, nice house, and they'll start like being nice to this person, because there's a big distinction between kind and nice. These people will be so nice, right? They see that you have a house, you have a loving family, you're kind, you're empathetic, whatever it is that you have, and they'll keep taking, because humans are greedy. They'll never stop. They'll keep taking and taking and taking until you have no more, and then you become the villain to them. You don't foresee this, even though it's a very recurring pattern. So start opening your eyes, babe, and realize that this is a pattern. You could be the most loyal partner, for example, right? Suddenly you're the bad guy. Why didn't you keep letting them into your life for that 112th day? You allowed them in 111 days. Why not the 112th days? People will keep taking until, like I said, you can't give anymore. And I saw one really huge example. I saw this when I was really young, and that really opened my eyes. Was when I was still a gymnast. I had to have been like 13. One of our senior gymnasts in my team had quit, and mind you, this girl was loyal to the club. Like, she went for every competition, showed up for every training, was really kind, really sweet, really respectful. And then she quit. But this is after winning multiple awards for my club and for the team. She eventually quit because she just felt like that's not what she wanted to do. She wanted to focus on her studies, and bless her, she got amazing opportunities after that. You would think, like, after all of that, people would look up to her, right? No, my coaches did it. And mind you, this girl was a girl, like a child. These bunch of adults, my coaches at the time, would not shut up about how, oh, she's such a waste of talent, she quit on us so unexpectedly, how could she do this to the team? And I saw this as a child and was like, well, she did so much for the team, but you're focusing on the one time she could not show up or she didn't want to show up. And that's how a lot of people are wired. They're so focused on squeezing the most out of you, milking every bit of your kindness from you, that when you finally set boundaries, you set your wall up, you're like, I'm not doing this anymore, I can't do this anymore. They're not gonna meet you with empathy because they can't. They lost this golden object in your life, and they're gonna throw a tantrum to make you feel bad about it. So you need to really evaluate who are the worthy people of your life, deserving of your empathy, deserving of your kindness and your unconditional love. Because if you're watching this video and you're like me, and I'm not saying this again out of arrogance, it's just that I've come to realize my own worth. Your heart is a fountain of gold, and anyone blessed to drink from it will heal. But if you let the darkest of hearts, the darkest of souls, feed off of it, bathe in it, it's gonna pollute this fountain of yours. You are so worth evaluating the people who you like give your love to. And this is not about being stingy. You know, if you have a lot of love in your system, understand the tendency to want to give more to people. Yeah, if you have the resources and you're not going to be affected by it, and you're going to be detached as you give you the unconditional love, by all means go for it. But at the same time, it's very easy to sell yourself out and to run out of it if you just keep letting just anyone take from you. So please, for your own sake, for your own happiness, don't just give it away. And now lastly, the last part of my very long rant. Noticing your value and deciding who deserves your love is not going to be an easy process. Any form of breakup, whether that's with friends, with a significant other, or breaking away from family if you really need to, if they're stopping you from growth, it's going to be hard because people are, like I said, are going to make you feel for it. I mean, could you blame them? You've let them into your life for this long, and you've told them it was okay all this while, and it's going to take a lot of getting used to. But you need to sit in that discomfort. Don't be all victim now after all that effort that you put into getting yourself out of the situation and finally saying no. Sit in that discomfort of saying, no, I don't want to go out to your party. No, I can't be in this relationship anymore. You make me unhappy. Sit in that discomfort, and then you question it. Why am I being uncomfortable? What about this is making you uncomfortable? You know, if you approach with curiosity, you'll learn so much about yourself, and take this as an opportunity to grow. This initiative is one step closer to where you want to be. It's one step closer to however you envision your life to be. It's what is needed for you. You're an adult now. You don't owe anybody a whole day to hang out with them. We're not like 7-8-year-olds where we have like one bestie, and then some of us still are besties with our friends from like when we were 8. But what I'm saying is, becoming an adult means we need to navigate our relationships differently. Like at some point when you first learn to advocate for yourself, you're gonna feel like you just did the wrong thing. Shortly after you stop seeing this person, stop being friends with this person, you're gonna like reflect and be like, maybe it isn't that bad. But let me tell you, time warps reality. You probably don't remember how bad it is now that you're out of the situation. Like, be prepared for this to happen, by the way. You're gonna be like maybe 2 weeks after breaking up, or like 2 weeks after you stop talking to this friend of yours who's like really shit and like taking advantage of you, right? 2 weeks later, you're gonna be like, oh, now that everything's so peaceful and quiet, maybe it wasn't that bad after all. But let me tell you, going back to this fucking person is like someone who is typically on medication for like, you know, whatever mental illnesses they have, being like, oh my god, I started taking medication, now I feel good. And since I feel good, I'm gonna go off my medication. I don't need my medication anymore. But the problem with that is, of course you feel good. You feel good because you're out of the situation. You feel good because you're taking your meds. If you stop taking your meds, all that's gonna happen is relapse. You're gonna let this person all into your life again and allow them to take advantage of you again? No. Sometimes we feel so uncomfortable, we wanna like go back on our decisions and we wanna make an action to stop it. But sometimes the discomfort is just something that you need to go through and you don't need to take action on it. And I know, when you stop talking to a person, maybe the main anger that you feel is not really towards the person, but it's internal anger towards yourself for allowing it all to happen. That's the thing, isn't it? Like, there is no perfect human, and we all have our flaws and we all contribute to the problem in some way. And you may feel like you want to, like, going back to it, you may feel like you want to rectify the situation by telling the person your side, like, hey, I've repented, hey, I realized where I've gotten wrong. But not everyone needs to hear that. Not everyone deserves that. And I know you're gonna like still feel like you love this person, this friend or family or significant other. Your love for this person is just not gonna go. But you can always love people from a distance. You know, one thing that's really useful that my friend had told me was that you're bound to feel because you were in a committed relationship, and that's just normal. If you didn't feel all of these things, that means you weren't in love to begin with. So I don't know, I felt like that was something useful to say. And at the end of the day, emotions are temporary. You spend all this time pleasing people. I say this sentence so many times in this video, I know, but bear with me. This is my last time saying it. You spend all this time pleasing people, but how they feel towards you could be temporary. All this work for something temporary when you can put more effort. I think my main message of this video is you can put more effort into something that could be more permanent for you, like your stability, which could lead to your happiness, which could lead to your success. And I think the advice that I would have for anyone who's anxiously attached and anyone who's just so compassionate all the time is you need to let go. So yeah, that concludes my rant. I don't know if it makes sense. I feel like I just rambled on about a bunch of nothingness. I don't know. I tried to use a different structure, and I literally have this iPad that I'm looking at. I don't know if it sounds structured at all. Oh well. If you're wondering if there are any books that I read that like has led me to my opinion, yes, I'm currently reading The Subtle Art of Not Giving a and I'm also reading How to Do the Work. These are the books. Maybe here and here I'll post a screenshot, and maybe I'll put a link below where you can find the books. I'm reading it on my Kindle, but I'm sure there are multiple places where you can find those books. But yeah, I hope that what I had to say was something of value, and it's this video I spent a lot of time thinking about. So I hope it's useful, and I hope it's like fun to edit. Thank you very much for making it all the way to the end of this video. I really wish the best to whoever's seeing this, and you need to take responsibility for yourself, babe, because if you're not, nobody else will. So yes, I made this video out of love. I hope you felt it, and I guess I'll see you in my next video. Thank you for watching, and yet again, see you soon. Bye!